I was born in the mid-20th century, conservative American Jewish parents, and I started searching for truth, and I studied the Bible very much. Then I ended up in a monastery for 3 years. If someone had told me a minute before I was going to be a Muslim, I would have laughed. You know, I told my son, he said to me, "Dad, if you look in the Bible and you look in the gospel, you're going to find Muhammad if you look here and here and here." And I looked in the book, the words popped out of me like three-dimensional. The words were like shining out at me. When I saw that, I could not unsee it anymore. I experienced the reality that Islam is true, that when I saw the book, I remember, things coming back to me. Tears were coming out of my eyes, but they weren't rolling down my face. They were flying out of my eyes like birds. I always believed there was one God. I followed Judaism till my teenage years. When I went to college, I started looking around and started looking and exploring and discovering and having different experiences and asking a lot of questions. And I was about 60, and that's when my son called me. And he said, "Dad, I saw in my whole life you were always looking like what's really true, what's behind all the headlines and everything." Because after all those experiences I told you about, I got married, I had 2 children, I lived in corporate America for a number of years. And so when my son, I told my son, he said to me, "Dad, if you look in the Bible and you look in the gospel, you're going to find Muhammad if you look here and here and here." And I prayed about it, and I looked in the book, and the words popped out of me like three-dimensional. The words were like shining out at me. The words that were in Deuteronomy 18:18, where in the book of Deuteronomy it says a prophet's going to come who's going to be like you, like Moses, who's not going to say anything of himself. He's going to say what he's given to say. When this reflects John 16:13, where Jesus says, peace be upon him, the Spirit of truth is going to come, and he's not going to say anything but what's given to him to say, and he's going to lead you to the rest of the truth. And in Deuteronomy 33:2, it talks about the sun was coming up over Sinai, came up higher over Seir, and crested at Paran. And I looked that up, what that really means. And Sinai is where Allah gave Musa the law, the 10 commandments. Seir is where Isa overcame the temptations of Shaitan. And Paran is an ancient name for Mecca, where Muhammad was born, peace be upon him.